Good afternoon, welcome to Live at Lunch. I'm Mark Cleghorn with the Photographer Academy, and today I'm going to be joined by Derek Moyer from Loxley Colour. Hello Derek.
Hello Mark, how are you?
Welcome from sunny Scotland, and I'm very, very well down here in beautiful wet Wales.
Awesome.
I believe you've been a bit nervous kind of getting ready for today. There's no need to do that at all with it.
Oh, thank you very much. I'm sure as long as you hold my hand, we'll be absolutely fine.
I've got very long arms. We've been chatting about doing some webinars with Loxleys and their software and so on, and because of the great real update that LDP, Loxley Designer Pro, kind of happened at the beginning of this year, didn't it? Was it late spring or early summer? When was the big change in LDP?
Around about just springtime there. Then we upgraded to LDP 3, which was rather than an update, it was an upgrade. So we literally built it from the ground upwards again. It looks very similar for the people who have used LDP in the past. Maybe haven't upgraded to LDP 3. They wouldn't really see too much difference in terms of the structure and moving things around. But how it works in the background is completely different. The beauty of that is that it gives us more scope to add things on in the near future, as well as thinking long term ahead, adding different features which we kind of exhausted LDP2 with. So yeah, just springtime there, we've upgraded to LDP3. So anybody who hasn't done that yet, it'd be well worth making sure they've got the latest version installed so they can get all the extra new features that's been added.
Do they have to be a Loxley's registered customer to be able to use this service?
Yes, they do, to download it, although it's fairly painless. It's just a case of just logging into the website, or registering, I should say, on the website. Name, address, next of kin, blood type, all that sort of stuff. And then basically that gives them access to download the software, which is free of charge. And then LDP is like a traditional program. Once it's installed on the computer, then they don't need to log into Loxley Colour anymore.
And I notice each time I log into LDP, if there's a new product launched and so on, then it kind of asks you if you want to add it in straight away and so on. Is that just my system, or is it on everybody's?
Technically it's on everybody's, but you can switch it off. Auto update, it normally when you first launch it, it basically prompts you, do you want to keep auto update on, sort of thing, but you can actually switch that off. It is though worthwhile keeping an eye on the updates, because a lot of the times it might be adding new templates in from popular demand or requests that we're getting, different things like that. So we do recommend for updates. We try and keep it to a minimum though, because we appreciate that it can be a bit of a pain in the neck, a bit like sometimes like Adobe Acrobat, where it's asking you to update every 10 seconds. So when we do get requests for things, we try and keep it to a minimum, or wait until we've got a sort of batch, and then just do it as one update rather than 20 updates every week, sort of thing.
Brilliant. Derek, I think we talked enough. I'm going to hand the screen over to you so you can start your demonstration of the day. As I said, I forgot some key questions going through. I'll give you a quick nod. Otherwise, I'll leave it in your capable hands. I've already got loads of questions going through as well, so pretty much around about the 1:45, if it's okay with you, we'll jump into kind of some questions just still while you've got the screen and so on.
Yeah, right. Sure, no problem at all.
And we're seeing your screen, and you're loud and clear, so please, Derek, take us away today.
Excellent, excellent. Basically, when you first launch LDP, quite straightforward stuff. You're prompted with just two options: create a new project, which 9 times out of 10 that's what you're going to go into. Open an existing project is just what it says in the tin. Basically, if you've got a saved project, you would just click on that and load up your saved project. So let's crack on. We're going to create a new project. You're prompted with 4 categories: albums, books, calendars, and premium presentation boxes. The albums is anything photographic, so the Perfettos, the Classicos, Artemis, all these type of albums. The books is our press printed products, so if you're looking to offer our magazine type coffee table books, like the Classic Coffee Table Book or Infinity Coffee Table Book, that's the location that you would go into there. But what we'll do is we'll crack on, we'll go into albums here, click on next. You're then presented with different photographic album options. Don't worry if you don't recognise these sort of marketing terms, like we call a perfetto, that's our Italian type storybook album or fine art, etc. Because you can click on information, that'll take you straight to the website and give you a rundown of what that particular product entails. For the sake of the story, we'll click on perfetto, that's one of the most popular albums that we do. Click next. And basically what it's going to do now is it's going to load up all the different options in terms of templates and different things like that. It's given you an option now of all the different sizes and all the different cover options. Now there can be absolutely a good number in there. So it can actually take you a little bit of time to scroll through that. So a great little tip is if you right click on all here, if you're using Mac and you don't have right click, just control click. So right click. And I'm going to just narrow it down, so landscape products, 14 by 10 say for the sake of the story, and now you'll notice that it's only showing me just the 14 by 10 options. So that's a lot easier on the eye, so that's a great little tip there guys, just right click, select your album size and format, and now I'm just left with just the size I'm looking for, but just with the different cover options. I'm just going to select material wrap. That would be if it's a plain cover you want, whether it be leather, leatherette, material cover, like a sort of linen sort of finish. Don't worry too much if you're still a little bit unsure or if you think your client's going to change their mind, because you can change this at any time throughout designing your album. So we'll just crack on and tick material, click next, give your project a name. So that would be your client's name, I would have thought, normally go in there. And what it's doing now, it's just running in the background, loading up all the different options, etc., templates, different things like that. And once we get this loaded up, we'll then show you the general layout. Here we go. Now, you'll sometimes, depending on which product you've selected, you'll sometimes get a little prompt for different options. So this particular one's showing us that there's like a bundle pack that you can get for this. Again, if you're unsure what all that means, click on more information, or if you know what it means and you want to go for it, you would click upgrade. But I'm just going to hit cancel because I'm just going to keep it nice and simple, one straight album. Here is the layout, and the great thing about LDP is it's all under one window, so you're not going back and forth into different options and then going back to the design page. It's all in the one window, which is what I like about it. Just to give you a sort of a lay of the land, as it were, when you populate your images, they're going to be down this left-hand panel here. Along the top is going to display your designs as you go along, so you can very easily sort of toggle between the different pages if you need to edit your designs. The bottom here is a whole range of different templates we've got, and there's literally loads in there. These templates are totally editable, as well as you can save your own templates, which is something we'll get into perhaps another time, but we'll keep it nice and straightforward today. You'll notice on the right hand side there's sort of little tools and different things up there. That's what we call the inspector menu, and that's what controls the effect of templates or images in the templates, and that's what we're going to sort of focus mainly on today. You'll see in the middle, depending which product you select, you get a little design tip page, and that will vary depending on which product that you select. In this particular case, it's going on about the sort of crop area, which I'll go into in a second, as well as if you've selected a particular cover, what to look out for when you're designing the cover. Guys, if you think that's a little, if your eyesight's like mine and that's a little bit too small for you, feel free, you just sort of zoom in. Now LDP always keeps images low res so that it runs as smoothly as possible. So if you feel that this is a little bit blurry, you can just right click, or again the Mac guys control click, and then show higher quality, and that will sharpen itself up a bit. But we recommend just having a little read at that, mainly probably for your first time designing with us. But we also have details on the website there about design through LDP. A little tip, rather than clicking the minus button to zoom out again, if you hold down Shift, click on the minus magnification there, it will go all the way back again to where it was. But generally speaking, what we're going to do is we're just going to delete this. So again, right click's your best friend, right click, delete, and then we're ready to go. See page 1 and 2 is blank now, ready to get cracking on. Right, so what we're going to do now, we're going to populate our images. So we click the plus sign here, we're going to pull them from computer, and it's a whole folder of images we're going to pull. You've got the option of individual files, so I'll pull a folder. Navigate to your folder and then click select. And then all our images are imported. Now again, LDP, these are just low-res thumbnails just to make life easy so that when you're working with multiple images it goes as quickly as possible. But the beauty of LDP is it's got quite a lot of options rather than just simply populating your images. So you've got the usual sort of categorization here where you can view by date created, modified, etc., etc., and you can also sort them various ways as well. The chances are you've probably worked on your images post-production, but if there was the odd one that wasn't saved a particular way, you can actually rotate it in as a thumbnail. So for instance, if that was a landscape shot, I could rotate it as an upright just to make life a little bit easier, but the chances are you probably would have done that already. As I said before, there's quite a lot of ways of viewing them. So for instance, if I go into categorize by picture orientation, it'll give me all my landscapes, and if I scroll all the way down, you'll see I've got my portrait shots there as well. What I like about it is if you are working between various folders, you can actually, if I populate another folder, so let's just say favourites for the sake of the story, and then if I go into categorise by folder name, you'll see it's separated it, so I've got my favourites folder listed with my favourite images as well as the original folder I opened there. So there's a lot of scope there rather than just simply populating your images into the software. For this demonstration, one of my favourites is if you go into by picture usage, what that will do is each time you use an image, in other words, drag it over into the design area, it puts that image at the very end of the list and marks it up as well to tell you that you've used it. So we'll see that happening in a second. So right away it's telling me all these images under this banner haven't been used. So let's start designing. This is the general sort of gist of LDP. You really would just select a template that catches your eye. These crosses just indicate where that image is going to fill. So for this particular one, it's going to fill the full left-hand page. And if I drag some on the right, the full right-hand page. So just to show that, we'll just drag an image over, keep it nice and simple. You can see it's filling the area there. And there we go. So technically, if you wanted, that would be page 1 and 2 designed, and then you would click on page 3 and 4 at the top there, and then crack on with the rest of it. In terms of cropping, if we double click, you'll notice you can very easily crop. You'll notice as well that it keeps the ratio of the page format. So if this was a square album, this area here would be square because that's the size of the picture box that we've got. But I can zoom in, crop, format the sort of ratio, or the area I should say, the way we want it, click OK, and you can see it changing there. And same here, we can offset it a little bit if we like. There we are. The guides vary slightly depending which product that you select. However, in the Perfetto album, this red line here isn't actually a trim line, it's more of a safety line, it's a little buffer, a safety buffer. So you'll notice there's a blue line and a red line. You can see it a bit better here, there's a blue line and the red line. We don't trim exactly on that red line because of the nature of our albums. They're handmade, so the amount that we trim varies each time. Ever so slightly when the albums are produced. So what we recommend is, if you want full bleed, make it right to the edge, to the blue line. However, if you've got any layered images, then you would keep them within the red line. To give you an idea of what we trim, we realistically trim halfway between this red line and the blue line. So roughly about 6 mil. This is about 12 mil of a gap where you see the red line and the blue line there, but we realistically trim about half that amount. So it's about 5-6 mil. But you can see here, this particular design, this is going to work. This is a bit of an offset shot anyway, so it's not going to affect things too much if I've trimmed a little bit off the shades on the lady there. So if you were happy with that, you would move on to your next page. Now, these templates, as I say, are totally editable. So you can select Even if it's something that you know, roughly like, but it's not exactly what you want, you can still add and take away and move things around. So again, just as a little example, we'll just start dragging in some different shots. Let's see what we've got here. So we'll drag a shot in here. Now straight away it's giving me a little red sort of triangle here. I'm just going to delete this for a second just to explain what that triangle is. It's telling me it's low quality picture. Now I know this image isn't a low quality picture. The reason being is LDP monitors DPI. So if there's a file that's less than 150 DPI, then it might flag it up as a low-res shot. Obviously that's not the case in this particular one because I know it's a large file, although I've got it at something like 72 DPI. It's still going to print up to like 40 inches, so I've got it sized perfectly. So don't worry too much about that. Our team would normally contact you anyway if they were you know, printing it and noticed that it was a bit low res. You would always get a call. So don't worry too much about the low quality there. Obviously it's worth double checking though. If you are, you know, not too sure, then open up the file, have a look, make sure you have got it sized reasonable enough to print to the size you're looking for. Now I'm just skipping back here. You'll notice a little back arrow and a little forward arrow here. I'm just skipping back to get it to the point of where I was, just to get back to designing. Drag an image in, and then I'm going to just find something else here. There we are. And that's another page done. Again, click on the next page. So again, 5 and 6. And as I said before, these templates are totally editable. So you can move things around, you can add extra picture boxes, again by right click, delete, you could completely delete it if you like. If you don't fill a picture box, we don't print it. I tend to delete it because it's a bit easier on the eye, but if you only filled like these 3 boxes and never filled these 2 boxes, we wouldn't print that. You would get a little note when you're checking out the order that there was an empty picture box, but again it would allow you to continue, so don't worry too much about that. So have a look through when you are playing around with LDP. There's loads of templates there. We are starting to add themes as well. This is part of the new options that we've got on LDP3. So there are sort of various different pre-designs in there for you, which again are totally editable, so you can change colours and boxes and different things like that. So you'll see a rather funky one here. So we drag this up. You could drag some images in here. Just to go back a little bit, because of the unused option when we selected, you'll notice all the ones I've used are right at the bottom now. So it's really easy on the eye, that option. I really like that particular one. So we just drag over some images. And again, I can adjust the crop just by double clicking. You can make it off center or centered. And there we are. And again, you can edit these. If you don't like these little bubble things, we can just delete these. You could change the colours, different things like that, which again we'll get into another day with more of the design side of things. But you get the idea. It's very much drag and drop. So you've got a lot of freedom there with LDP, which is always good news when it comes to album design, because your clients are obviously going to have different ideas sometimes of what they're expecting. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to get into the inspector menu, because that's really the sort of heart of LDP with what you can do with the different boxes that you've added. You'll see these little icons up the top here, so that's what we're really going to be focusing on today. Don't worry too much about taking it all in, because these are little details of this are on the website, little videos that you can go back at any time and have a look at. But the beauty of today is it gives us a great idea of how LDP works. So we're going to click on the first option here. This is what we call the node section. If I click on a box here, all these sort of options will suddenly light up here. So for instance, you can change the shape of a template, or a picture box as we're going to call it. I would say that's probably more relative to designing different shapes for backgrounds and things. So I'm going to keep that where it is at the moment. However, if I change corner, for instance, you'll notice it's just given a different curved feel to the corners there. Now a little tip again is, if you hold down the Shift key and click on each box, any change I make, so that's if I'm adding shadows or curves or whatever, basically any change I make is going to affect everything. So don't feel You have to do that if you've got multiple images on a spread. You've got to do it for every one. So that's mainly what this section does, is shapes. And if I go back to the next page, or the last page I should say, highlight my image, I can change opacity. So again, you can get some nice effects there. If I highlight an image, I can also add a stroke line or a border. You can control that by typing in a value, or you can use this little slider bar. Personally speaking, I wouldn't go over 2, but 0.5 and 1's a nice size there, so it just puts a little border round the image there. The last section in this area is drop shadow, so just to give you an idea of that, I'm going to add my own picture box. And I'm just going to do this sort of freehand, just roughly size it to the size that I want. We can be more accurate, which we'll go into in a second. Just a basic little tip about alignment. Again, we're going to go into alignment for future webinars, but for this one, if I just right-click, align vertical page center, right-click, align horizontal page center, I know that's bang in the middle. So just a little tip there. Again, I'll just go over that. So you can position it any way you like. Right-click, align vertical page center, right-click, align horizontal page center. So it's bang in the middle. So going back to drop shadow, I've got it highlighted. Tick the drop shadow box, and then all these options come into play. So offset, how far away you want the shadow. You can select the angle the shadow's at. I tend to blur it right out. You can change the colour if you like of the shadow. We'll keep it black for this demo. Again, how far the shadow spreads across. I tend to fade it out quite a bit, so something like that. But it's just amazing how that just lifts that off the page. So don't feel the need that you have to use every single template. Sometimes the most attractive albums are the simplest ones that get the most attention when people are viewing them or through your clients. So if I drag an image on there now, you see how that's just lifted that off the page just with that drop shadow option. Of course, I can add that border again. So if I click border, let's just put a little black border around that just to lift it off the page. So not an awful lot to that. You've got really just 3 sections there, just controlling the shape of the template, little borders, and drop shadow on there. And that's all done in that first section, the node section. We'll move on to what we call the image section here. So this is the second little icon at the top here. If I click on an image again, then these options light up. You can rotate the image to a degree in the box there. That's maybe quite handy if you're creating reflections and different designs like that. You can also flip as well. So sometimes some people like their images to be quite symmetrical, so on the left hand side they're looking to the right and on the right they're looking to the left. If you don't have that particular image available, you could technically do something like that. And I'm just clicking the flip horizontal button there. So that also comes in handy if, again, creating reflections. I've seen some quite nice designs coming into the lab where people have used that, creating reflections, lower the opacity, giving a sort of water effect, different things like that. So that's all done there. Remove red eye. I know you guys won't have that problem. However, if you click on this mode area here, you can change your images to black and white or sepia. Again, some of our clients might have already done that before they added the images into the LDP there, but there is an option to change it to black and white and sepia there. You've got the good old vignette, so if you tick that box there, that gives you vignette options. And again, you can control that, just the size of the vignette, you can blur it out, the colour of the vignette, and I tend to just fade it out, but hopefully you guys can see that the difference that's making on screen there, where you can get some nice effects with that. And that's really all there is in the image section. So just rotating the image a bit, the black and white option, and vignettes just in that second option there. The next option up in the respective menu is text. Very Word-esque, so you'd be familiar with this if you've ever added text in Photoshop or InDesign and different types of software like that. So I'm going to just add a text box here. So you'll see add text box when you drag your mouse over here. It's quite obvious as well, as a little typical standard AA next to it. So we'll click on that. So you can see it says double click to edit. So what I tend to do is size my text box roughly to the size my text is going to be. Just do what it says, double click to edit. So we double click. There was a little tiny cursor there, so we would type in whatever text that we wanted to put in there. Don't worry that it's very small there. What you would do now is just left click and drag it to highlight it, or Control A, typical sort of PC or Mac commands there. Control A would highlight it. So I've got it highlighted there. I can then change my font size and font style, I should say. So I've got font style, just make that nice and big. And again, you can drag that around to any way you like. Now there is quite a lot of options with the text again. You can really have some fun with that and get some nice designs with it. I've seen people use like little shadow effects by using like skewing it and different things like that. But just to give you a basic rundown of it, you can change the colour of the font. So I've still got it highlighted here, so I could change the text colour there. We'll keep it black at the moment. I could lower the opacity for different effect purposes. Good for like wedding albums if you want to put bride and groom and different things like that there. You can mess around with the actual font itself. So if I make that text box just a little bit bigger here, again just highlight that there, I can sort of mess around with that and get sort of different effects there. You can put a little outline on it. Again, just by playing around, you can get sort of different effects, like so. I know this is very rough, guys, but just to give you an idea of what its potential is. So I've got my text there, and again, I can move that anywhere in the design. At the bottom where it says spacing, I would say that's more relative if you've got paragraphs. We tend to get like coffee table books in of particular countries or something that someone's made of someone's life, and there's a lot of text. Well, it's heavily text-based, particularly if it's more commercial work. You can control the distance of words in between paragraphs and the space of paragraphs between the next paragraph, etc. Baselines, like how far away the text is away from that particular line, you can adjust it to get different effects there. And the beauty of LDP, it's very visual, so when you drag it around, what you see is pretty much what's going to get printed, so that's the beauty of that. So I won't go too much into that as we're a little bit pushed for time in terms of paragraphs and things. But what you can do is you can change the format of how the text is going across the screen. One that's particularly good would be for covers, for instance. So if you're designing like a coffee table book cover or something along those lines, you can go and mess around with. So I've selected downwards, left to right. You'll notice my text box has gone red. That's because there's an issue there, so it says text overflow box. It wouldn't actually allow you to submit the order with that, and it's because my text box is smaller than my actual text, and this will get fixed as soon as, oops, just click back there. This will get fixed if I make my box a different shape. There we go, and you can just get the idea of what's possible. So if that was the spine of a cover, you get the idea where you could put the text going down there. We tend to have text boxes prefixed on our covers as well to help you design without messing around with this too much. But again, that's the options in text. The second last one is ruler icon. So if we click on ruler up here, this is if you want to get really accurate with your picture boxes. So for instance, if I click on this one here, you can have your measurements in millimeters or inches. I'm quite old school here, so I can keep it inches. But I can change this, for instance, if I go into width, I could change that to exactly 8 by 6. So I'm just typing in a value and just tabbing along. Now I know this box is exactly 8 by 6 now. That would probably move the box around a bit, so you probably would have to double check your crop if your image was already in the box there, which was the case with this one. So again, just adjust my crop, and again I'm going to right click, align vertical, align horizontal. There we are. So I know that's exactly 8 by 6. These are the things that I wouldn't get bogged down with too much. The X and the Y is just the coordinates of exactly where that box is in the design area. That used to be relevant when we didn't have the auto-align tools. You had to look at your numbers and use the grids, and it was quite convoluted, but thankfully with the new auto-align tools, which again we're going to go into quite heavily next time around, then that's what that was there for. Offset is just basically how it's cropped, so again, I wouldn't get bogged down with that too much. However, angle is quite handy because you can rotate the box there if you like. Some candid shots might be quite nice layered on top of each other like that. And that's the ruler section, folks, so it's quite straightforward there. Probably something that we get asked quite a lot of is how do I change the background colour, and that's all done in this last sort of section here, what we call the page colour, funny enough. If we click on this icon here, very straightforward as you can see, left and right. So if I click left, I can choose a colour, and I can do the same for right. Now you'll notice that there's a white line going down, and that won't get printed. That's just to help you out, showing you where the centre of the spread is. So don't worry about that getting printed. So it's quite a handy little update we've done just to show you where the split in the book's going to be. Again, if I highlight this, I'll just go back to the first node because I'm going to change my border to white, just to show you how easy that would be if you had to edit it at any point. So there we are. Again, just a little bit more in depth. If you want to get a more selection of colour, if you click on the little button there again, click on Other, you'll notice there's another little swatch that pops up. Again, if you don't see anything that you're looking for there, if you click on Define Custom Colours, you can actually type in an RGB value. So you might have done a little use a little droplet on Photoshop to get the RGB value of a dress or a particular colour that your clients like. And the beauty of that is, once you get the colour that you like, let's just pick anything at the moment, you can just click Add to Custom Colours, and it means that it's in that little swatch. So each time you want to change the background colour, you've got that option there. If you were going to use that an awful lot, you'd be quicker actually saving a template with that background colour on there, so that you can just simply drag it up next time round. But that's all done there. What I'm going to go into now, because what is quite popular is our clients tend to use other software sometimes to design their spreads. So I'm going to go into that in a second. But I'm just going to show you quickly just a little bit more in depth of what these little menu icons mean. As I said before, these are little history buttons, the first two little arrows here. So you can think, oh crikey, I didn't mean to do that. You can just click back as many times as you like, and it'll take you all the way back. And of course you can click forward again, it remembers the whole history, so if you wanted to change your mind again, you can click forward again. And the little save icon next to the arrows here is literally just to save the project, as you would expect. So anytime you want to save, you would just click save there. I tend to just save after each spread. I try to get into that habit just in case something happens there, or system crashes or something along those lines. You've got a little backup there. You've probably seen me clicking on before at the start there, the add picture box. Again, just does what it says in the tin. Add text box. Autoflow is very much in its infancy stage. The idea is you would just click autoflow and the software will design an album for you based on the images that you've populated. The reason that we don't recommend it at the minute is because we haven't worked out a way to differentiate for it to only use a set of designs. So at the minute it would maybe use something from the ribbon design and something from another design. However, where it is brilliant is if you've got pre-designed spreads, it will automatically populate them in. So I'm going to show you an example of that in just 2 seconds. So I'll just jump that for a sec, and this is the change product icon. You'll remember when I said at the start, don't worry too much if you've selected a cover, your client phones up and says, really sorry Mark, I know I said photo cover or just leather, but can I have the acrylic cover or a photo cover? You can literally click on this icon here and it takes you back to that same menu we had at the start. Now you'll notice it's giving me the 7:5 option. That's because when I selected a 14:10, 7:5 is the direct downscale ratio. So if you'd ordered a 12 by 12 album and your client said, really sorry, I want a 10 by 10, you've got the option, but it only will give you the options if you're changing the size to the available download sort of ratio. But in this occasion, I'm going to stick with 1410, but I'm going to pick acrylic cover, change, and you'll notice it's added a little template to represent the front cover. There was a little prompt here just to double check your design, but it would be mainly relative if you'd already selected an image cover and then selecting another image cover. That image might have moved slightly, or text in the spine might have moved around, so it's just getting you to prompt to just check the design there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come out of this just now because I want to show you guys if you've got pre-designed spreads, how easy it is to actually import them into LDP and then just use the autoflow option, which will basically just populate them for you. So I'm going to come out of this. I'm going to create a new project. Again, select albums for this example. It's a Perfetto album, this one I want to do. Click next. Now again, it's going to load up all the different templates there, and then it's going to prompt me to what size I want. So again, the little tip, right click, select which one you want. It's a landscape format, 8 by 6 this particular one. And again, my pre-designs would all be sized up already, again in Photoshop or in InDesign or Fundy or whatever software that you've used to design the spreads here. Let's just pick material again for the sake of the story. And again, we'll just give it a little name. So again, it's loading up all the options for 8 by 6 now. But we don't really need to worry too much about that because our album's all designed. And what we're going to do now is we're going to add in some images that are pre-designed. So again, we don't need to worry about this. We just right-click, delete, add in my spreads. So these are all my spreads, and they have to be in order as they open up here. Otherwise, the autoflow is not going to work. So the first things first is we have to check how many spreads we've got. So I've got 10 spreads here. Now LDP only ever opens up with the minimum amount that you can have, just so that you don't order something that we can't build. So it'll always open up with the minimum amount of spreads that you can have. And on this occasion it's 5 spreads or 10 pages. So what we have to do is we have to find a way of adding more pages, which is quite straightforward. If you go into page, you want to click add, and you'll notice it's added another page at the end there. You'll also notice when you click add, there's a little shortcut here. It's slightly different on the Mac, but again it'll give you, I think it's Command Shift and I on the Mac. So you can also use that as well. So rather than doing this 5 or 10 times or whatever, you can just use the shortcut. So I'm just holding down Control, Shift and I, and you can see how quickly you can add the amount of spreads you want. So now the amount of pages up the top here matches the amount of spreads that I've got. So this is the easy part. You find the correct template. So I've designed the spreads as a double page spread. You would use the single one, this one here, if it was just the pages you designed. So I'm right clicking on it, or again Control click if you're Mac, assign page style to all pages, and you can see it's added them very quickly. And then dead easy, all you need to do now is just click the little autoflow icon, and what it will do is it will start populating all the images in. And there we are. At that point, I would just give it just a quick once over just to make sure you're happy with where the guides are relative to your design, different things like that. Again, a little tip is on this one, because my background isn't black, even though it's flat spreads, if I change it to black, it will show me where that crop line is going to be there. So that gives you an idea of that your design's the right way, or you might want to adjust it, or whatever it might be. And if you're happy with that, you would just simply go into the checkout stage. So that's how you can very quickly design, if you've pre-designed an album, how quickly you can add it into LDP. We actually recommend you have a go at designing an LDP because there's a huge advantage, mainly as to the colour. If you design using our templates or adding your own templates to the project, we receive those images as individual images rather than a flattened spread. So the beauty of that is if you've got 4 images on a spread, 3 look absolutely fantastic. One's a little bit dark. We can brighten the one that's dark up to match the other 3, whereas if it's a flattened spread, we don't have that kind of control. So we maybe suggest if it's your first time using this and you're using flattened spreads, maybe just get some test prints done. Just to make sure that you're happy with the colour, etc. So again, I'm just going to come out of that. I'm just going to go back. We don't need to bother seeing that. I'm just going to go back into the last one we were working on there. So if you're coming back into a project, you would just click Open Existing Project, highlight your project here, and then just click Open. And again, it's just finding all those images and loading them up there. Just before we get into the checkout stage, we're almost done here, guys, but I just want to show you just a few things in the menu. First thing is, don't worry too much about rearranging pages, because you can do that very easily if you go into Page, Rearrange Page. You can very easily move things around. So don't worry if your client changes their mind and says, oh, I'm really sorry, can you put the mother-in-law right at the start? Perish the thought. You can literally just move things around, and you'll notice that it's changed. The order's changed up the top here now. So that's pretty handy. One thing that you probably will use for sure is proofing things out. If you go into File, Create Proofs, you'll get a little prompt first of all. This is the empty page message I was telling you about. It just basically means that I've used a template, or I've got a template on there that I don't have an image in. It's just a little flight check. It's not something that's not going to allow you to order or anything. It's just asking you just to double check. Technically, if I deleted those templates, I wouldn't get that message at all. And again, the little low quality picture is just a prompt just to get me to double check it. Am I okay with that particular picture there? But I'm just going to click OK to that. You would normally hit all, I would have thought, or if you're reproofing a change that the client's made, you would hit select. So for this story, I'm just going to hit select because I've only got a few images on there. Just tick the ones there. Click OK. You would select a destination, so we'll just say desktop. You'll notice that it's already creating it with the name of your project. Again, you could change that if you like. Click on save. Click OK there. And what it's doing is it's just rendering out those designs so that you can email to your clients. I should have shown you there was an option to select JPEGs or PDFs. There's also TIFFs there as well, but I wouldn't imagine you use that an awful lot. So now I've got a folder of images that you can quite easily send to your client. We get asked quite a lot if we can switch the proof thing off. It's a tricky one, to be honest. We don't actually have that option. The main reason, to be honest, is really just to protect ourselves, because technically our software is free of charge. You could download it, use it for design purposes, and then obviously use someone else. So really just to protect the business, that's the main reason for it to be on there. However, the other reason is if you've designed a 16 by 12 album, these proofs are still reasonably large enough to get a reasonable size print off of. So again, it's to protect you guys as well. So, but at least it's a quick way of showing your clients how the album's going to come out there. And really, that's pretty much it in terms of the basics. To be honest, there, I was just going to quickly show you how to check out the order. If that's okay. Mark, are we okay for time?
Yeah, brilliant. Guys, just before Derek goes there, I'm gonna call it that we're not going to do rows today. I know I'm going to get stoned by some of you, but we'll kind of try and do another session for you next week, and we'll perhaps just look at rows. I've had loads of questions through on rows, and I think it would be kind of wrong to just kind of flick into it. So I'm going to concentrate all the questions, if that's okay with you, Derek, just actually what we've been doing today and the kind of little questions we're going through and so on. So,
yeah, sure, no problem.
If you want to just go through the checkout process, and then we'll come back to the questions.
Yeah, sure. Checkout's pretty straightforward stuff. It's almost like ordering anything else online, although it does differ from anybody that uses rows. It is dramatically quite different. So you would click on the shopping cart there. Again, you get the same prompt we got when we're creating proofs, but that's okay. We don't need to worry about that. And we just continue, and it'll prompt you to save. So it's grabbing all those high-res images in the path and making sure everyone's all present and correct there. And what it's going to do now, this is the only part you need to be connected to the internet with. So this is the only time you need to be online. You can use LDP offline. So if you're on a laptop, on the train, whatever, you can design away. It's only when you start to check out the order you need to be connected to the internet. So tick the disclaimer box. Just says that all the money goes to the Works Night Out. And then we just click Start here. And this is it connected to the net. Now, if it's your first time with LDP, you will be required to create an account, even if you've registered with us. We will be changing that soon to make it a little bit smoother. The reason that was created in the first place was that if something had gone wrong, in a sense that if you called to check up your order and we hadn't received it, we can go into the database and literally see what had happened there. So it's a little backup for us. So I'm just going to, I've already got an account registered. It'll be a bit embarrassing if I don't remember this password. Let's, fingers crossed. There we go. So you'll see you get the typical checkout screen. It's telling us everything that we've selected. So you select a Perfetto, a 1410. Do you want to adjust the quantity? Do you want to change the actual paper type? So if it was metallic, for instance, you would just click change and then select metallic and then click change. And again, that would adjust the price for you. Again, is it leatherette that you want or genuine leather? So if it's genuine leather, you would click change, and again, you would just select the options. I'll keep this on leatherette at the moment, and again, if you wanted navy, burgundy, tan, you would just select. Then it goes into the little downscale options. So do you need any mini books? We don't do a Ryanair. We always keep it not required, and you would always have to change it that you require it. So rather than just put a quantity there, you would click change.
Can I just say that there are other airlines available as well, kind of thing? Yes.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. So you would just really go through what you required, change it, change the quantity. So for instance, if it's the Memento books, click change there. These come in a pack of 2, so you just click that there. You've got the option for cover options there as well. And of course, now that I've changed that there, it gives us more options. If you wanted 4, you would just select 2 there, and then again it would change the price there. And then we would continue. We're almost there now. It would just prompt you to where the order's getting shipped to. Your billing address will always stay the same, but you can edit the shipping address, and we'll just continue there. Again, if the shipping address is different, you wouldn't, no paperwork would get shipped with the order. It would always go to the billing address. And again, it's just the last page is a summary, so it's just telling you what you've ordered, including all the little downscales and different things like that. So that'll break it all down for you if you want to click on those arrows there. And if you were happy with that, again, a little option for special instructions. This album's free of charge, reference Derek, something like that. Don't put that in just for the sake of the story. And you would click confirm order. It's a funny way to hand in my notice, isn't it?
The question board is just go, is that the code of today? About 20 people have just said, oh great, thank you very much, I'm off.
Absolutely, absolutely. Now here's the big difference. You get an order number before anything happens. So before the order is uploaded or anything, it's giving you an order number. That's your reference. Don't worry about this. This is going to get emailed to you. So at this point, you can simply just close it down. Finally, you get the last little options here on LDP. It's going to give you an option to send it via broadband or save to disk, and you just choose the relevant one. Just quickly give a little bit of catch up there, and pretty much that's it. Once you choose upload images, it would just start to upload. You do get a confirmation email once it's uploaded, so you get 2 emails there. Basically, you'll get one that says your order has been created, and the next one is that your order will be uploaded. But it's really straightforward stuff from there. But again, all those details are on the website as well if you want a little refresher. Or do the old-fashioned way, give us a call or drop us an email, and we can answer your questions there as well.
Perfect. Thank you very, very much, Derek. Let's get to some questions. We got
sure.
9 minutes left till the official end. But if anybody wants to hang on past the 2 o'clock, I'm sure Derek won't mind losing another 10 minutes of his lunch break. I've got some brilliant tips there myself, mate. I didn't realise, in fact, how much using the right click, in fact, really brings the options alive. So I've, I'm using LDP quite a lot, but I think you've shown us some great tips there. I am going to put what I think is the kind of the strong things that I've just learned through Derek, actually going through that on the Facebook page, on our Facebook page on the Photographer Academy. So I'll get those up by about 2:15 anyway. And if there's any more questions following, just get in touch with us via support, and we'll try and get those answered as well with it. And remember, the customer service at Loxley's is absolutely second to none. So, except to us, of course. Basically, any problems, get in touch with them or the crew. Don't ask Derek. he's a busy boy, and don't use that code because it won't work. Jay's just tried it. Right, okay, quickly. Is there a really quick way to count how many images you've used in the album?
There isn't, unfortunately. That's a good point. That's something that we are working on. The great thing about Loxley's is that we are actually alpha testers for our developers. So when we suggest things to them, they tend to listen, basically, which is always good news. So we do tend to have a lot of clout behind that. I would probably say that's why I like the used and unused the best. Because it's easier on the eye. So I'm probably a quick pre-check before you populate them into LDP to make sure you've got all the images that the client had selected would guarantee that. What does happen though is the little number that you see next to the thumbnail that you've added to the project, that does change. So if you've added an image twice, maybe on purpose, like one for the background and one, on top of it, that little red circle will say 2 or 3 or 4, how many times you've added it. So again, you can quickly get through that and make sure it doesn't say 2, or if you don't want it duplicated. But great question. It is actually something that you would really like to see.
Can you just show them how to put the used images to the end of the queue, as it were, again?
Yeah, absolutely. Let's have a look. I'll just see if I can I'll just come out of this just now, if you bear with me. Let's just...
I don't think it'll allow us to go there now, will it?
Yeah, I don't think so. Let me just see, if I just close this off, hang on. I'm just going to complete later.
As I said, just while Derek's getting ready, I'll try and arrange with them for a session for either Tuesday or Thursday next week at lunchtime again, and we'll tackle Rose specifically, okay? So I'm sorry I've let some of you down, but it's too important not to actually kind of run through the basics of what we've been doing there today. I didn't want to stop him because it was really good. Sorry, Derek, are you almost ready?
Yeah, just about. It's just playing a bit of catch up because we checked out of that order there. If I just quickly go into a project there. Is there any other questions?
Yeah, just while I'm doing that, yeah, we've had a couple of questions coming through about linking in the LDP to SmugMug and so on. As far as I'm aware, there's no way to link that in yet. Is there?
No, not at the moment. There is a few things in the pipeline.
Yeah, it's not in there at present.
But it's not there at present.
That's the answer. Fingers crossed, once upon a time in a land far, far away, some little guys will switch a button and perhaps we'll get that kind of benefit as well. Just quickly, Derek, can you just explain the difference between LDP and Rose?
Yeah, LDP you would only use for album design or book design, to be honest, although there is things like calendars in there and presentation boxes. Rose is mainly for general print orders or wall products. So in other words, any book type you would use LDP, any sort of standard prints or wall product, it would be Rose.
Lost you there.
Oh, can you hear me now?
I can, yeah, you're back.
Okay, did you catch that? We'll answer that again.
Just do it again, yep.
Yep, no problem at all. Basically, LDP is designed purely for book design only, although arguably you can design calendars and some boxes in there, the presentation boxes, but specifically mainly for book design. Rose you would always use for prints only or any wall products. Really, those type of things. So, box frames and aluminis, or just general prints up from 6x4 right up to 60x40 inches. You would use the Rose for that.
Is
an LDP for books.
Is there a way to group orders together in Rose? Is kind of a common question going through here a minute.
Technically there isn't at the moment, but that is something that we are genuinely hoping to fix. The reason that we don't have it is because we're a victim of our own success, because of the size of the place. Now what was happening was that orders were coming in with prints along with maybe say a box frame in that order, and those are made in completely two different ends of the factory, and what was happening was there was the odd order going out with certain things missed, and we were finding it difficult to track that. The good news is we'll get brand new tracking installed. This is all internal, of course, not that our clients see it, but we'll get brand new tracking that helps customer services track exactly which part of the order is exactly whereabouts it is in the lab, really. And the beauty of this new tracking system is that we will be able to batch orders. What I would say though is it's well worth putting in the special instructions on rows that you have got like 2 orders in, so guys, this is 1 of 2, this is 2 of 2, can you send them together? Because what the customer service team will do their absolute utmost to batch those orders together and make it just one postal charge, so that you know, you're not paying twice for postage.
Brilliant, thank you, Derek.
So we do our best for that as well.
Cool.
You know.
You want to load some images up there? And,
yeah, absolutely. Yep. I'll just very quickly just get some images here. So folder, navigate to where my folder is. So here's all the images loading up. So if I select the option of categorize by picture usage, when I drag an image in, not only does it put a 1 to it, it puts it, you see how that's disappeared, it's put that file right at the bottom now, and it's put a number 1 next to it. If I'd used that same image again, just quickly drag it in, you see how that's going to 2. So although it doesn't give you a total, it does quite clearly give you an indication that it's definitely been used and how many times it's been used. But great question, as I say, that is a big thing for us that we hope to have sometime in the future.
Great. Okay, let's go to text for a minute. Can we paste text in from the likes of Word?
Yes, yeah. If you copy paste, so highlight it from Word, open up a text box, and then paste it in there, then that will work. Always just check that the alignment might change. So in other words, like the last word on the first paragraph might have moved down a notch or something because of your copy pasting. So always just have a look at how your text is laid out after you do that. But yeah, that will definitely work, absolutely.
If I've done a design on one page and I want to duplicate the design on the next page, can I duplicate the page, or have I got to go through all the layout again?
You can duplicate the page if you go into page and then duplicate. You see it's created 2 pages at the top there, then that would again allow you to edit, so if there's a slight difference you could just take out what you want to take out and keep the page the same there.
Can I save my own templates, in other words my own designs?
Yes, absolutely. That's a huge feature with LDP. It's something that I was going to go into with the more in-depth design one, but I can show you just now if you like.
Yeah, just quickly if you can. If you want to, I've got a question here a minute, which we might be able to do 2 in 1. If I have 3 images top to bottom, space them with even gaps, how do I do that?
Yep, what you would do is, let's just get a blank template. So again, let's just say, we've got your template size, so say you've sized it exactly the size that you want. I'll make it 3, so something like that. I'm just going to copy this, so right click copy, right click paste, or Control V, the usual commands would work. So first of all, what you can do is, if I hold down Shift, highlight them all, right click, align space. I'm going to align left so that the one at the top is going to be bang on with the rest of them. So I know these are in perfect alignment now. If I then right click, align space, space items, I'm going to tick vertical because that's the nature of how these are listed there. And then again, if you're in millimeters or if you're in inches, you would just type in your value in here. So you would put in, for instance, I can put let's just put something like 0.25 inches. If I select OK to that, you see how they're perfectly aligned now and also perfectly spaced.
And if I wanted 9 on a page there, let's say, and I wanted them, do I have to do them individually, or can I kind of paste all that 3 together now and paste those in?
Absolutely. The trick would be they're still moving at the moment because they're all highlighted, but you would want to group first. So you want to right-click, group. So you can still drag 3 images in here. It's just that the software's treating it as one node, as it were. And then again, if I copy that now and then paste that, right-click, paste, paste, Again, I could add another one if I wanted in there. And then of course I could highlight these, I could hold down Shift, right click, align space, align top, so they're all perfectly aligned there. And you could use the same grouping option that we used there and the same spacing option there to space them again.
I know
to answer the question.
Sorry, I know we're going to cover this at a further date again. We'll kind of go over it a little bit more in depth, isn't it? Yes. Yeah, so
That's okay.
Go ahead, mate.
Just to save that template. I was just going to say, just to save that template. By the way, we'll go onto our website as well if anybody wants to know the answer to this now, because there's a great little video that shows you, you know, how to do that. But I'm just going to save this for future use. So let's just say you made your background black and you've done a lot of work or put drop shadows or whatever on there. You've got the option to save the page or the spread. So I would normally go into Save Spread. Call it anything that you like, so we'll call this multi or something like that. You can select your own one of our categories, or I would recommend you create your own. So if you click New and then name it something like My Templates, click OK, and you've got that for future use. So that can be used not only in this project, but any other Perfetto album that I use. So in other words, the same family, I can use that same template. So that's going to save itself in there. And of course, the beauty of that is it's totally editable again. So I can still change the background colour or whatever I want and different things like that. And of course, if you've got a lot of your own templates, if you click on this little wheel category, you'll notice you've got your own category now. My templates, all it would do is just list all your own templates there rather than showing our templates, which makes it a bit easier on the eye.
Is there a way to proof the finished item to the client? So if I want to publish this, let's say, to my SmugMug site, is there a way to save the project and being able to go to the proof before the checkout stage?
The only way to proof an LDP is by the, that sort of guarantee file create proofs option where it gives you outputs JPEGs or a PDF. Basically, so here's a little folder that I saved from the test earlier on. So these are just JPEGs. So that's the only way technically you'd be able to send, proof to your client, or, when you put on Facebook, the only downside probably would be the sort of proof part on there might be a bit aggressive, I suppose, in a sense.
But I could put that onto my SmugMug site as a proof with no print or
absolutely,
print option,
yeah.
And that's a quick way to do that, isn't it?
I think so, yeah, great shout, yeah, because they're just JPEGs, so you can do anything you like with them. Use the slide option. I've also been aware before we started the seminar, we actually had a discussion about that, and there is actually going to be a publish option coming onto Facebook through ourselves. So that's a little sneaky peek insight. It's going to be like the sort of flip option, like the sort of flip type softwares that you can get online where you can sort of demo your books to clients. It's going to be a bit like that, so they'll also get a kind of sort of 3D view of how the book's going to look as they flip through the book as well, rather than just looking at flattened spreads. So we're really looking forward to that. So that's coming soon. But yeah, at the minute, great shout, Mark. Yeah, you could put that JPEG on as a non-printable print on SmugMug or something along those lines.
Okay, so you went through how to add a border and a drop shadow. Is there a way to automatically do that across all page designs?
There isn't. No, you would have to do a spread at a time. There isn't really any way round about that. I think that's when saving your templates really comes into play. So although it might be a little bit longer for your first couple of albums, but if you start saving your own templates, you could be amazed how quick just by dragging them at the bottom and dragging them up really does make. And of course you can have as many categories as you like. You can have rather than just my templates, it could be my drop shadows, my black backgrounds, whatever it might be. You can have as many categories as you like on there. Keep in mind though, you don't have to add, if you're running a drop shadow to a template, you don't have to do it individually. So again, the usual sort of Control-A or holding down Shift and then highlighting all your boxes. So if I highlight these boxes here and then hit drop shadow, you can see how very quickly you could actually do that. But to answer the question, no, unfortunately.
Okay, you did something interesting there because you ungrouped them before you added the drop shadow. Is that what you've got to do to be able to drop the drop shadow to a group of them?
Absolutely. On this particular example, yeah, if you've grouped something, then you would have to ungroup it and then add it in, which does actually come in handy because you might have actually just wanted to put a shadow
One of them, or two of them.
One of them are these two. So something like that. If I group these, so I've just grouped everything there. So this one, this one, this one, and this one. I'm just holding down Shift and doing that. Tick and drop shadow, so you can see it's not affecting the ones in the middle there.
Brilliant. And even though you you add the drop shadow to them, you can still then regroup them again. Yes.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's
absolutely.
not a restriction of the software or whatever.
No, not at all. Not at all. You can
Brilliant.
still group that. Yeah.
Okay. So question is, you've done the kind of layout like you've got here on the screen now. Is there still a way, or is it too late to add a photograph behind?
No, it's never too late. It's only too late when you've clicked the checkout button and you've checked out the order. That's the only point it's too late. But if you wanted to put a template behind there, quite straightforward. You would just add a picture box. So I'll just add a new one there. Right click, and I'm going to hit Fit to Spread, like so. I'm going to right click again, and I'm going to arrange, because at the minute it's covering all my templates, as you can see there. So just like Photoshop, it's based on layers. I'm going to send it all the way back. So rather than backwards, I'm just going to send the whole thing to the back. So now I've got a template in the background there. So when I drag that over, you get the idea. You can play around with that and get one that would be relative, I suppose, to.
Brilliant. Is there a way to add, you know, when you're working in opacity, is there a way to add a coloured background behind the image so you can see that you're basically colouring the image as you're going through?
Yes, absolutely. So for instance, if I choose a black background, which I've done here, just came back around to page, change it to black background. If I lower the opacity, now you see that I get a completely different effect than if that was a white background. Is that what you mean? Is that
yes, it's exactly what I mean. But you could also add that on a colour as well, yeah? So you could add it as a red or a blue or whatever kind of thing.
Absolutely, yeah, absolutely.
I think it was specifically directed at if they had black and white images and they wanted to put like a bit of a colour wash across them, they could do that and so on. Nice idea that is, by the way, whoever asked that question. There's so many people on here, Derek, saying that, oh my God, you just saved me hours. So that's how important these things are.
If only my wife was here to hear that.
Okay. I didn't realise. Sorry, I'm just going through the questions. Okay, let me just go back to my box here a minute. Okay, can you trim on the guidelines itself?
We can't, because it does, as I say, the nature of these albums is that they're handmade, so it's difficult for us to put an exact figure of where we trim, but I would say it's between 5 and 6 mil. If the clients when they're designing, let's just say for the sake of the story, did stop exactly on the red line, what you would get is an even white border, or depending on which colour the background was, they would get an even border. So some people actually deliberately will actually stop the whole design on the red line, because they know when we trim the album, then they're going to get a sort of even white border around about it, which still, you know, gives a nice effect depending on the sort of design that they're doing. But it does vary. If they would like an exact or a more accurate sort of guide to where we're going to trim it, what they could do is, if they wanted to, if you go into View and then Show Rulers, again, you can have this in millimeters if you like, which is probably better if you want to be, you know, even more accurate with it. So for the sake of the story, if I go into File, Preferences, Millimeters, I'm just going to put Print Area plus Bleed here as well, which is more relevant when you're looking at covers, but we'll cover that another day. Now, if I hold down the Shift key and then click on the plus magnification here, it zooms into the furthest it physically could zoom into. But you'll notice here, now we've got rulers and now we've got guides, a bit more easier on the eye. If I click on the ruler, just like Photoshop, I can drag down a guide. So we're probably going to trim something like that. And again, we're probably going to trim somewhere about there. So, you know, anybody that's worried about things getting cut off, or they want to make it full bleed but worried about the head still getting trimmed in, they could use something like that with these guides if they want to be a bit more accurate with it.
It's a bit advanced, really, isn't it? I mean, I would say.
I would say so. Yeah,
I would say so. It's too close. You know, you're only going to get disappointed, really, isn't it?
I think so. I think there's a brilliant video, a very quick video. It's about 30 seconds long on our support page, which shows a much better visual to what to look out for, like the do's and the don'ts sort of thing. And it really just makes sense when you see it in that sort of format, rather than me sort of trying to demonstrate where we're more likely going to crop it. It literally shows you where we're going to crop it. And keep in mind, we've got a great team behind us. It's not a case of when you submit your order that, oh well, that's what you sent tough, that's what we're going to print. There's guys that get through every single spread and every single image on big sort of 40, 50-inch monitors. I'm sure you've seen it, Mark, if you've, the last time you put the lab. And basically, they make sure everything is the way that the client's probably going to want to expect the album to come back. So any minor alignment, they tend to fix, and you wouldn't know much about it. If it was an issue that they're thinking, hang on, the mother-in-law's head's getting cut off here, perish the thought, you would always get a phone call from them just asking, do you know about this, or do you want to resubmit this page, or is this okay? We had one like last week where it was like one of the images was really bad, it was really low res and really poor, but when we phoned the photographer, it turned out that it was one of the, I think it was the bride's mother that wanted that particular image, or it was sentimental in some way to the brides and the bride's mother, so that was why that was different. But again, a client really appreciated that they got that phone call, because it's quite easy if you've been doing any kind of designing, you know, for 2-3 hours to miss something that, you know, we see all kinds of things like, you know, arms like not in the shot, maybe it's a Photoshop job and they've missed a bit or whatever, and it's dead easy to do. It's just purely because they've been staring at it for so long. So just to let you guys know that there will be a fresh set of eyes that look on it, even before it gets printed, and then it's checked after it's printed as well. So we do our absolute utmost to spot any, you know, crop issues or anything that would take away your, you know, your enjoyment from the album.
I'm just going to ask Jay if he's got any kind of extra questions, but before I do that, can you just touch on briefly about clicking on or off the colour correction options, please, at the lab?
Yeah, absolutely. Basically, colour correction, whether it's just straightforward prints or, in this occasion, any album design, is a free of charge facility or service that we offer. We literally treat each image on its own merit, so it's not a general correction across the board. It's literally a technician who's been doing it for years that sits down, looks at the image and gets the most out of it. It can be quite a scary thing, colour correction. Well, what you do to my images, we tend not to do any mad corrections. I think if we were doing any mad corrections, we'd probably be calling the client and asking, has anything changed, because your colour shift's quite dramatic. We're really just tweaking the images. You know, a lot of the time it might just be density, darkening down, brightening up a little bit, warming up, cooling down a little, but we treat it on its own merit. If you're going down the non-colour correction route, we really recommend getting some test prints done. We do that free of charge, so you're welcome to send in some, I don't know, 5 or 6 sort of 9x6 images and just put a little note saying, guys, no colour correction, test prints, something like that, free of charge. We do that for you. If you really wanted to, if you were unsure which way to go, we would do a set corrected and a set uncorrected. The set corrected would give you a good opportunity to see the kind of quality you would get from a lab like ourselves, and of course the non-corrected prints give you a good idea to compare them to what you see on screen. Don't worry even if they come back horrendous and non-colour correct, because it's still a good thing. It still gives you a good point of state as to how far out your setup is to, you know, to our setup. And we've also got details on our website about monitor calibration and you know, get down that road as well if you want to go down it.
Hi Derek, it's Jay here. Thanks for that, bud. A couple of quick, just straightforward questions, but I think they're quite relevant and needs to be asked.
Sure.
Is there anywhere on the Loxley site where they can get recommended sizes for the images to get the best quality out of the print?
There is, under file preparation, there's details there, and under the colour management section there's details there as well about, you know, prepping the files. We tend to use, and it's not technical, but we tend to use a rule of thumb of 1 inch per meg, and that would be the file open rather than closed. So if they open up the file in Photoshop and it was to be 20 inches the print, then we would expect that file size to be around about 20 meg, which would show you in Photoshop or programs like that, or Lightroom. We probably, the biggest issue we probably do get, Jay, is when we receive files, the chances are they probably are much larger than what they really need to be, because the nature of modern day digital SLRs is they naturally produce huge files, which is brilliant because you might need it at some point for big prints, but a lot of the time, particularly for album design, the files are actually too large really in the grand scheme of things, which is why you'll get issues of slow upload or certain things crashing maybe when creating proofs, because they're absolutely massive, which they just don't need to be. So we always recommend maybe just running a little script. You don't have to necessarily size each individual image before you put it in the album, but it'd be well worth just running a little action, or things like Photoshop have got built-in scripts where you can just run a little batch where it will just downscale them, but just take the edge off them. But you can afford normally to downscale quite a bit. It can be quite a scary thing, but again, keep in mind if you're still worried about that, the guys would call you if there was a low-res image before they printed it, or even after they printed it. If they weren't happy with the quality, you would always get a call or an email just asking if you could maybe resubmit that again. So a good question. It is well worth downscaling the images beforehand, and there's information on that on the website, which again will we can send you further details if there's nothing on there what they're looking for.
Oh, that's brilliant, mate. And Mark's just said while we were chatting there, and while you explained that, we've posted that on our Facebook page, the links to those guides as well. So
oh, brilliant. Excellent. Nice one.
Staying on a very similar note there with you, Derek, I think you did sort of mention it briefly right back at the beginning, but just reiterate it. When people are cropping the images, if they crop too far, they're going to get, I know the answer is yes, but they do get a warning, don't they, if they've cropped it too far and the quality's gone? Spot
on. Again, it's a little bit, it doesn't mean it's definitely gone, it's just a double check really. So for instance, if I fit this image here to spread, just crop a little bit there. If I start to, you see how it measures the DPI basically in the pixels, so it's okay there, but it's starting to warn me when I get to there. That isn't an absolute definite, it's just maybe something you probably need to double check, maybe by zooming into something like Photoshop or something like that to make sure that the resolution hasn't gone there. But yeah, I think if you were zooming as far in as something like that, then it would be worthwhile double checking. But again, the guys would always give you the heads up, just like I said a couple of seconds ago, just if you were worried about that. Some people put it in the special instructions, guys, I'm a bit concerned about page 2 or page 3, or can you let me know if there's an issue with it? And again, it's just eases your mind. It can be quite a scary thing ordering an album, particularly for the first time. I mean, they're not always the cheapest things in the world, and you obviously want to get it right first time, so it can be quite scary. So we do our absolute utmost to make it as an easy experience as possible and guide you through it.
Oh, that's great, mate. Just got one question. We've got lots of questions coming in, but we are drastically running out of time. And obviously we're going to do a series of these webinars anyway. When we were talking about text earlier, and I could see that there's a massive range of fonts in there. Anything? Can we also import fonts into the text?
Unfortunately, it's not possible. There's a reason for that. The main reason is it's a copyright issue. Again, we're probably a little bit of a victim of our success with the way that we've set this up. If the software flattened the spread before it uploaded the files, so in other words, if you've put 5 images on a spread, put your text on there, clicked on the checkout, if the software flattened the whole spread before it uploaded it, which some labs actually have got set up, in other words, software like LDP would flatten the spread and then upload it as one spread rather than 2 pages, if that makes sense. Because the font was put on their computer, then there's not a copyright issue. However, because with the nature of LDP where it uploads each individual image plus the text, we have to have that particular text stored on our server, so when it renders the text matches up. And it's just not possible because of just the sheer number of fonts out there. It's just not possible for us to have every font available, and they're pricey as well. And it's not that we're being cheap, but if we've got literally thousands of fonts at 300-400 quid, some of them can be just to buy. It just doesn't get manageable. However, what I would say is if there's a particular font that you really want, then again, feedback's a great thing for us, because if we get a number of people asking for that, then we'll do our best to get that listed. How people get round about it at the moment is that they would design that particular page as a flattened spread. So in other words, in Photoshop or InDesign or something along those lines, they would add their text in and then save it as a JPEG, and then just drag that JPEG in the background or on a template as if it was an image, and that's one way to get around about it. But there is quite a lot of, the most popular ones are there. It's a little bit trickier. Mac used to be a bit of an issue because the way Mac fonts work compared to PC fonts is that they can be named the same, but they're actually slightly different. So again, we had to try our best and stick to the sort of standard fonts that come with a Mac and the standard fonts that come with a PC. But again, feedback's everything. If there's a particular one on there, we would do our best to get that added on if there was we were constantly getting asked for it. But flat and spread would be the answer at the moment, if that's any help.
Derek, thank you very, very much for joining us today. It's been absolutely brilliant. From a guy who was nervous at the beginning, you'd never tell. You're amazing, and you can just see how fluent you are in this. Really, just kind of just finishing off, you were on about colour balancing and things really just before Jay took over for me. I mean, the images that you've got in front of you, really, of mine, are a perfect example of that because they have a very unique, to me, colouring. It's my retro autumn colour, which is very, very warm. And again, if it wasn't a style running throughout the whole album, really, it would just look odd. And obviously, that's where the lab wouldn't correct my kind of look. Again, I mean, we've got to give the kind of the hands up, really. The customer service and the people assessing all the proof printing and so on before it goes to actually the main building of the album. They're switched on. They're trying to avoid any problems. And if in doubt, it's a quick telephone call from you to us, isn't it? And I think that's what's absolutely brilliant.
Excellent, yeah.
So, Derek, once again, thank you so much. Thanks to Loxley's for everything that you're doing for our industry. Amazing print, amazing products, amazing albums. Thanks for caring about our industry as well with it. So, on behalf of me and all my team here, thank you very much for being involved with us, and thanks for spending some more time actually kind of exploring the LDP software. So, if you want any more information on that, visit loxleycolour.com, of course, and you'll be able to actually get all the information or follow one of the links that we've posted into the threads. Thanks, Derek. See you soon. Take care.
Pleasure. Take care. Bye-bye.